On February 27, 2026, HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. went on Joe Rogan's podcast and announced he was reversing an FDA ban on 14 peptides. Within hours, every peptide forum on the internet treated it as a green light. Within days, wellness influencers were already selling protocols. Here's what actually changed and what didn't. The specifics. Kennedy said 14 of 19 restricted peptides would move from Category 2, banned from compounding, back to Category 1, legal to compound. He called the original 2023 ban, quote, illegal. He argued the FDA had no safety signal to justify it. And he said pushing those peptides into the underground had created the gray market. A formal FDA decision, he said, within weeks. As of now, still not published. Here's what the categories actually mean. Under Section 503A of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the FDA sorts bulk drug substances into 3 buckets. Category 1, legal for licensed compounding pharmacies to prepare with a prescription. Category 2, flagged for safety concerns, banned from compounding. Category 3, not enough data submitted. Category 1 does not mean FDA approved. It means a pharmacy is allowed to make it. That is a very different thing. The 14 peptides expected to return. BPC 157, the one every biohacker asks about, for gut healing and tissue repair. Thymosin Alpha-1, an immune modulator already approved in more than 30 countries. TB 500 and GHK copper for tissue repair. AOD 9604 for fat metabolism, a drug that actually failed its weight loss trial. MOTS-C, a mitochondrial peptide. Selank, CMAX, Dihexa for cognition. Epidolon and Diacyp for sleep. GHRP6 for growth hormone release. Kispeptin-10 for reproductive hormones. KPV for inflammation, a wide mix. The 5 staying banned are the ones with documented harm. Melanotin-2, linked to nausea and melanoma concerns. Cathelicidin LL37, very limited safety data. GHRP2, associated with adverse events including deaths. PEG-MGF, almost no clinical evidence. NMK-serenini-7, also called ibutamorin, linked to blood sugar elevation and fluid retention. These aren't getting reprieves. The 5 stay where they are. This is the misunderstanding that's driving the confusion. Category 1 status does not mean these peptides have been proven safe or effective. They have never gone through the full clinical trial process. No standardized dosing, no insurance coverage, no FDA-level manufacturing oversight. Reclassification just means a licensed pharmacy is allowed to prepare them with a valid prescription. The evidence burden hasn't changed at all. The cleaner mental model is 5 tiers. Tier 1, FDA-approved peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide, completed full clinical trials. Tier 2, Category 1 compounded peptides, the 14 coming back. Tier 3, Category 2, banned, the 5 staying out. Tier 4, investigational drugs in active trials. That's Retatrutide's bucket. Tier 5, gray market research chemicals, unregulated, sold with a wink. Different rules in every tier. Knowing which one your peptide sits in is the entire legal picture. What about Ozempic and Mounjaro? Separate situation entirely. Semaglutide and tirzepatide are FDA-approved drugs, Tier 1. They were never in the Category 2 banned list. The semaglutide compounding window closed in February 2025 because the FDA officially declared the shortage resolved. That's different from a peptide ban. None of this reclassification news changes anything about Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, or Zepbound. And Retatrutide, what this channel is mostly about. Retatrutide is not on the 19 peptide list, never was. It is an investigational new drug in phase 3 trials, which means compounding pharmacies cannot touch it, regardless of what happens to BPC 157. Legal access is enrollment in a clinical trial through clinicaltrials.gov. The FDA issued over 50 warning letters in 2025 against companies selling Retatrutide online. If someone is telling you the RFK announcement changed anything about Retatrutide, they are wrong or they are selling something. One thing the reclassification does not change: the gray market. Research use only peptides sold online are not regulated by the FDA, not manufactured to pharmaceutical standards, and not sterile in the way a legal compounded prescription is. Studies have found mislabeled products, bacterial contamination, and purity that swings wildly between batches. Even with 14 peptides returning to legal status, the legal path is a licensed pharmacy with a valid prescription, not a vendor site with a disclaimer. The open question is timing. Kennedy said within weeks. Weeks have passed, and no formal FDA rule has been published. Until it is, compounding pharmacies that start preparing BPC 157 or MOTSC today are operating illegally. The reclassification is coming. It has not landed. And nothing about this news changes what a responsible conversation with a doctor looks like. The full peptide list, timeline, and sources are in the article version at glp3.wiki. This is informational content only. Retatrutide is not FDA approved. Talk to a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical decisions about peptide therapy.